We're just about to start off, and what's up, Alex? I gotta say, for the most part, I'm glad that you ended up doing well on your test. For the most, made sure everything is set correctly back here. So, what's going on, fam bam? This is Chris Mizo here, and I am here live to talk about tech and everything that's going on in the tech world. As you know, the 9060 is being released this week, and same with the 9060 XT. A lot of the reviewers, or you can say the handful of reviewers, did manage to end up getting the GPU for testing. So the testing is still under the phases, and we're trying to get really good accurate numbers. For the most part, it seems that it is more of a closer scale to something like the 7600, I believe. But yeah, it's good to see you, Alex. Also, I do have to say about the whole RX 9080 and the RX 9090 rumors, it seems that it's more than likely a case that it's very possible for it to come out, as it seems that AMD may want to compete. Now, I do have to say that if AMD does end up releasing this card, hopefully it brings a lot more interest. I'm just curious how many people would be really interested in joining the AMD team or Team Red if they do come out with a high-end card, especially because it's not going to be made with any type of real budget. On top of it, I do have a really interesting case, I do gotta say, for the most part. With my current, actually, Gigabyte RTX 5090, I'm trying to keep a close eye on it because there could be some possible issues that are coming up. Of course, it's a Gigabyte RTX card, and I'm going to check it out this weekend to make sure it does have any issues before I actually announce what that possibly is. But getting into that, it just seems that the RTX 50 series is going to get a new driver sometime soon. It doesn't seem like it's quite out yet. I thought it was, or maybe it's a hotfix. Maybe I misread it wrong, but it's supposed to be 576.66 that's supposed to release, and it's supposed to fix a lot of the different issues that the 50 series is having. Hopefully, it brings an end for this these terrible drivers, because I'm pretty sure Nvidia doesn't want to make a bad name for themselves, especially with that. But I do have to say, what is really interesting for the most part is that Nvidia does want to slow down their 50 series, and that they want to focus more on the AI realm, because it seems that they want to take more of the market for that. So Nvidia, I think they will still be in the game. They're more than likely going to still sell RTX 50 series cards, and they're going to still have that high fan base. In fact, I just was speaking to somebody about this today, and we were having this discussion about how the balance is really imbalanced when it comes to the whole AMD and Nvidia side. Because in all honesty, you can see that most people are more interested in NVIDIA cards than more AMD cards, even though there are people switching over slowly to AMD. It's just not a large majority. If I was to compare the numbers, I would say probably if it was out of 10, maybe 2 out of 10 PCs have AMD cards, and the 8 out of 10 do have NVIDIA cards. And the reason being is NVIDIA has created quite the name for themselves, especially because they're known to make great GPUs, and you only want the best, especially when it comes to gaming hardware, and you're spending a ton of money when you do build a PC. So why not spend a little bit more on something like a RTX 5080 or a RTX 5070 Ti instead of getting a RX 9070 XT? So there's a big debate on between that it seems that you can see why AMD is hesitant on selling on the whole higher end market, because if they do create this high end card, it might cause an issue to where not enough people are going to purchase the card itself. So burning cables, leaking thermal, yes. Exactly the case, Alex. And integrated graphics are more stable than the 50 series. Yeah, that's what it currently seems like. It just, and all it has to do really mainly with is because of the whole drivers. And if they could just get the drivers right, I feel that it can end up being a whole lot better. And the sad thing is, it almost seems like the 50 series is still like a souped up 40 series. Really, it's like a 40 series super, like a RTX 4090 Super when it comes to the RTX 5090. Because again, it's really the same die. Sure, it's a different architecture, but you're just putting a little bit more power through it. And then on top of it, you're not really... you're gaining power because you're going from 450 watts to 575, and it seems like where's the whole Moore's law is dead on that theory when it comes to NVIDIA cards, because you're supposed to gain twice the power. But now it seems it's slowed down on that side when we should really be progressing much more and being a lot more energy efficient. But who knows, maybe with the whole 60 series, when they do come out with it, or even with the 50 series Super, they do decide to come out with something different. Also, on a side note, I have been working a lot with Bazzotti not Bazzotti. I'm thinking of Bugatti. But I was working a lot with Bazzotti to see how well the system works with AMD. And so far, it seems pretty stable for the most part. I'm still running some tests. I'm running some benchmarks, and I want to compare it to what it would be like compared to Windows. Now, the funny thing is, I gotta say, it seems that it is quite different when it comes to the whole benching side, because there's only really designated resolutions, but you can customize your resolutions, which I will explain in a later video when it comes to when I review this whole Bazzotti OS when it comes to gaming. But for the most part, it does run really smooth. It has very little issues. Just has some incompatibilities when it comes to frame generation or FSR. You can certainly turn it on, and it's not every game that it does, but certain games it seems that the frame generation does not want to work properly, or it'll even end up freezing up the game to the point where the PC will restart. So, oh, thanks a lot, Yashmit. I do appreciate the compliment. But for the most part, I do got to say, I do have to say the OS does work excellent. It just is a couple things that I will mention, and I will work on some guides, especially for those who are thinking of switching from Windows, who are tired of dealing with Windows updates, and just wants to use their PC mainly and focused for just gaming, because then it would be great for that, especially depending on the type of monitor you have and depending on what your PC uses are really used out of. Now, I don't know if anybody out there really uses other programs, but if you really don't and you just use it strictly and mostly for gaming, then it would be a great option. You still can do things like you can go on browsers. They do have documents where if you need to write any documents, they still have other programs. You can use OBS on it. So there is a lot of flexibility, and it is open source compared to what Windows is. But the only thing you would have to get used to is writing in different commands. So that is, you can also install it on handheld devices. Now, I did show how to install SteamOS on something like the ASUS ROG Ally. You can also install it on the Lenovo Go, or you can even install it on another type of handheld, as long as if it is an AMD process in there. You can also install, if you don't want to install SteamOS, and you can also use Bazzotti as well in order to install, because it does have the current kernels for most handhelds that are out there. And when you do install it on something like a large PC, you will get notifications just like you're playing like on a large Steam Deck, which is a pretty funny part about it. So with the RTX 5090, I gotta say, I gotta examine it a bit more, and once I get the time, since it's like Wednesday, I'll probably end up taking it apart on Saturday just to see what's up, to make sure everything is okay. But I'm really curious to see if there is a possible issue going on, and I will definitely make a video on it if there is, explaining what exactly happened. Now, with the RX 9060, it seems that not too many people really got their hands on it. If you've been reading any thing online really about it, but not too many have the RX 9060. There's a few that have the 9060 XT, and it's a very, very limited amount. It almost seems that they don't want to get too many reviews out there because they want to make sure people end up purchasing it first before they end up actually doing a real review on it. Also, we did have a couple things that did happen today. I don't know if you guys watched the whole state of play with PlayStation to see the type of games that they released. Also, Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be released as soon as tomorrow if you are interested in that. Because let me know if you pre-ordered one out of curiosity. It seems that I've been getting a lot of emails about different sales reps trying to get me to push the Switch 2, but in all honesty, I feel like the Switch 2 isn't that a great big of a upgrade compared to something like how the original Switch was. As you know, the original Switch was the first one to really be able to be handheld and be able to dock to play on TV as well, which was like a true all-in-one console that you could really have fun with on the go. But the Switch 2 doesn't really seem to really innovate compared to other Nintendo consoles, such as the Wii, because the Wii had the motion controls. And then even before that, you had GameCube, which was something really different. Switch 2 was kind of a bit smaller of an upgrade. It almost feels like more like a Nintendo Switch Plus. There was only a change in the motion control, and it does have a larger screen. It is a bit of a downgrade for it to go to LCD instead of OLED, because OLED, the cost isn't that much more different. It's only about like a $30 to $40 difference if they did have a OLED screen on there. But I wouldn't be surprised if they end up pushing it for a reiteration, depending on how many units they sell. If they end up selling a lot more, which I feel that they're going to wait until at least the holidays to see how well it's selling. And if it doesn't sell as well, I could see them trying to push a OLED version because they don't want it to turn into the Wii U debacle for the most part. What's up, Dakota? What's up, Troll? What's up, Walter? What's up, VMY? What's up, Jack? What's up, all of you that is coming in? So the RTX 5060 Ti versus the RX 7800 XT. Now, I do have to say, if you are comparing both of those models, more than likely the 5060 Ti will outperform. So the Mason 386 says, can you say happy birthday to my friends who's watching? Yes, happy birthday, Nick Gurris. And Jack 369 also says 1080p high refresh rate. Okay, so if you have a 1080p monitor, 5060 Ti honestly is plenty. Same thing with the 7800 XT. They're both going to be great GPUs. Are you planning to upgrade in the near future? Are you thinking of going maybe even 1440, like 2560 X 1440 even? Because if you are thinking, now it doesn't have to be really soon, but if it is in the near future, within maybe 2 or 3 years, are you thinking of upgrading to at least a 1440p monitor? Because that's something you also have to consider. Because anytime you do buy a GPU, sure, you might need it for now. But if you don't plan on really upgrading anytime soon, then I would say just if you want to really save, just get this 7800 XT, because more than likely it's a lot cheaper than the 5060 Ti. If you can get your hands on a 5060 Ti, that would be great. Now, I can say for the 5060 Ti, the ray tracing will be better. Same thing with the path tracing. So if that is what you're looking for, that would be great for that. And it's also good for modern games. Only issues, as I mentioned with NVIDIA, is the current driver that they do have. And that's something that is still under the works. And supposedly they have a new driver that's supposed to be releasing sometime soon. Hopefully it fixes a lot of those issues earlier in the year. The 5060 and the 5060 Ti had issues with the BIOS, and hopefully they updated a lot of those ones that are being pushed out in the market currently. So you would have to perform a firmware update just in case if you do choose to go 5060 Ti. No problem, Jack. I hope that was informative. Now, the 7800 XT, originally when it first came out, the drivers weren't great, but of course they improved over time. AMD has certainly done well this year. They aren't as good when it comes to ray tracing, but they are great when it comes to graphics. In fact, when I was just doing a lot of the tests, even with the 9070 XT, I can say for certain on Baslite, it seems to perform really well. I can say one of the numbers for sure on Monster Hunters on ultra settings, it was reaching about 100 frames at the minimum. So you can expect some great, and this is on a 1440p display also to let you know. So if you're playing on a much smaller scale, it would even probably perform even 25% better than that. So Ryzen 5 5600X bottleneck RX. No, not with the 7800 XT. I wouldn't really expect too much of a bottleneck from that. You will experience bottleneck though once you go to the higher series if you do choose to go 9060, or if you choose to get the 9070 XT, then you could experience bottlenecking because for some reason they're on a PCI Express 5 scale. So instead of, so it'll bottleneck because of the current bus that would be on. Because on Ryzen 5, they're still on PCI Express 4. So if you do put it in, it would not be going at 100%. You would probably experience some bottlenecking. And then you would experience bottlenecking. This is where you would see it, is when it comes to ray tracing. If I have AM4, what is better to upgrade from 5600X? Now, if you have AM4 and you were to try to upgrade from a 5600X and you want to stay on the same platform, get a 5000X 3D. More than likely, it's going to be a very good deal. I would even look on the used market to see if they still have them. I'm sure there is some, but the thing is you have to be careful with that as well. See how much it is new, see if the value is there. More than likely, I'm expecting it to be like around probably around like the 270 range, more than likely, if you are willing to spend a little bit more, because it's going to be quite the upgrade from the 5800X. Now, if I have also another thing with the 5800X 3D, that remember they also have another CCD in there, which also helps the whole gaming performance because of it. So it will, because they are stacked on the processor itself. So when you do, you'll hit pretty much the infinity cache if you're running on 3200 megahertz. Oh, thanks a lot, Jack369. I do appreciate it. Welcome to the FanBam. And also feel free to join the Discord channel, and which I will push in. And if you need any help when it comes to anything, feel free to contact anybody on there, because we all like to talk about PC and tech. If you get stuck on any, if you have any questions at all, if you're installing say the CPU, or if you're installing your GPU, feel free to ask on that Discord channel. What's up, Daxish? Good to see you. Good to. Thanks a lot, Jack369. All right. Have a great night. I know it's all different times all across the world right now, but what do you guys think of the state of play from PlayStation? Were you guys excited or disappointed? Because I'm just curious about the outcome, about what everybody thought. Personally, to me, the only thing that I thought that looked pretty good was actually Marvel's game. Marvel's game looked pretty good. And the same thing when it came to James Bond, their new game. It looks pretty decent. I just don't like when they are coming out with these remakes. I saw that they have like a new arcade stick to use for fighting games, so that doesn't look too bad. But again, it's very few games than I thought. I was hoping for some sort of surprise, especially when they panned out in Marvel's game. I was hoping that it would turn into Wolverine, because I was just thinking, where is this Wolverine game? Is it ever going to come out at this point? Yeah. I'm kind of a bit upset about it myself. I thought they were going to at least show Wolverine. Did anybody think that as well? Like when they panned out and you saw the bar in Japan, I just thought, it just made me think of Wolverine there. And I was thinking maybe they'll actually show it. Maybe they have a surprise drop. but it seems like it's more focused on Marvel's Arc. They did come out with a like a retro Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and you can also use their arcade stick. I think Thief was another one, which it's, you know, it's Thief, so it's nothing real crazy, and then some sort of other remaster. And the remasters I want to forget, because Sony should be pretty embarrassed about coming out with any more remasters at this point. And it's funny, maybe they sold the memes and they said, you know what, maybe it's not a great idea for us to come out with these remasters, because these memes are saying like Horizon Dawn 0, Horizon Dawn 1, and Horizon Dawn 2, or Horizon Dawn remastered and Ghost of Tsushima remastered. But I was certainly hoping for a lot more when it came to State of Play. Nintendo is a bit disappointing, I gotta say, for the most part myself. I just hate for the fact how they're hyping up a previous game, such as Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is a good example. I guess when you go and travel to different areas in that game, it takes about 10 seconds for it to load up to that area. And what they were showing off is that on the new Switch 2, because of the new APU that's in there, the new SoC, the fact that it can load up within about 2 or 3 seconds to travel. Again, a game from what, like not even, it's probably a little longer than that. It's probably been, what, 3 years since Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I'd say. I think it's 3 years. But ever since then, how do you persuade people to purchase a Nintendo Switch 2 over loading different areas when it comes to a game like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? That makes no sense to me. And you're not really showing off new titles, but you're just showing off your prior games. You can play GameCube games is another thing that they were showing off. They did mention a few other newer titles. I know they have Mario Kart Worlds. That is one of the more attractive titles, I have to say. But again, the cost of the game is just quite insane, $80, and how that's supposed to be the new standard when it comes to gaming, which is kind of disappointing. What's up, Snecker? Good to see you, Daxish. So about the 9060 XT, I'm going for it tomorrow. It's priced near the 5060 Ti. I'll go for NVIDIA. Yeah, that's exactly the point I'm talking about. So now, anybody that does want to, that has the money to purchase a RX 9070 XT, it seems that they are more attracted to the 50 series. And I do get it. It's because of the whole ray tracing fact. And a lot more game companies out there, a lot of developers out there are wanting to be lazy practically. They don't want to create the game, and they don't want to hand create all the details when it comes to reflections, when it comes to lighting. Just let ray tracing do the work. So that's why when games have ray tracing and you want to take advantage of it, NVIDIA is a great option for that, because now you can actually see the details, what the game studio intended for them to be. But there are games out there such as Claire's Obscure Expedition 33, where they optimized it very well to the point where you're able to get all the details without the unnecessary ray tracing, which would work great on both NVIDIA and both AMD. So it seems that NVIDIA has their market that they want. And currently, as I was explaining to the chat, that there is an issue too. There possible issue. I can't say there is an issue, but I'm going to examine it more with the RTX 5090 that I currently have. If all of you are familiar, or if not so familiar with my channel, you guys know that I have an RTX 5090, which is a Gigabyte AORUS Master. So I'm going to examine it over by this end of the week about, and I'm going to take it out and take a look at it to see if there's any type of issues that are going on, which I'm kind of suspecting, but I have to confirm it before I actually announce it, because I don't want to slam them if there is not really an issue. So that's there are current issues again with the 50 series. Again, it's not the perfect line. It's honestly, to me, it's been the worst generation when it comes for NVIDIA. I feel that the best generation that they had prior to, not really the best, but I can say the better line that they had was actually the 30 series. And then once they progressed to the 40 series, it seems like it kind of strayed away from NVIDIA's greatness. They turned into, they were just locked and they were focused on the whole AI aspect. What's up, Neil? Good to see you, Neil Rex. But I do have to say, for the most part, it's going to be, I'm very curious if there is an issue, because that is something I will certainly bring up. And it's going to be pretty funny for the most part, especially for those who have to deal with a $3,000 card that is going to have issues like this. Especially, you're spending so much money on it, you should expect a little bit more quality control on that side of the coin. Now, the RX 9060 is also releasing this week. A 5060 and the 5060 Ti are practically pretty much out. And if you've seen the stock in a lot of stores, they've seen that they have plentiful. I've seen like shelves and shelves of 5080s inside of Micro Center. So don't worry about not getting a GPU. They're certainly out there. You don't ever have to worry about going on eBay now. To answer Snecker's question, are there any pros and cons when it comes to a vertical GPU mount? Now, this is kind of more of a tricky question, because when it comes to a vertical mount, it looks dope, right? The vertical mount bracket is, it looks amazing. But the problem is when you think about how the blower is, like when it comes to your GPU, how the fan is, because usually the way the fan works when it comes to the GPU, it's supposed to cycle the air through the top of it practically. So if you're putting it to the side, it's just going through the side of the case. So it's just like bouncing off the case and then kind of reflecting it right back into the motherboard. So that's, I feel, is the negative side. It looks dope aesthetically when you do have it that way. Now it can kind of be somewhat, not really cooler, but it's away from the motherboard. I feel that the temperature difference isn't going to be that great. But I'd say this is more of an aesthetic thing than actually a performance piece when it comes to the vertical mounts. So it makes your PC look cooler, but the fact that it doesn't really cool off your PC as well as it's originally intended when it sits horizontally. But that's what I do have to say. So when it comes to the vertical mount, it is an optional upgrade. What's up, Sanchez? Good to see you. It is an optional upgrade. There's cases that do come with the vertical mount. Like if you get the height Y70, they usually have only the vertical mount that comes with it. But certain other ones, like for example, the Corsair 5000X that's right behind me, or 5500X actually, that case requires you to purchase their vertical mount, and then plus you had to purchase the PCI Express riser for it in order for you to set it up that direction. And again, you're not going to see really temperature difference, because you'll actually get better temperatures if it's sitting the original way, the classic way, which is the horizontal way, and it'll actually cool off a bit better, in my opinion, for the most part. So Fiery, he said, yo Chris, I was wondering about like having an extra M.2 stand off under the M.2, but I can't take it off, so I just left. Okay, so you were thinking of having an extra M.2 stand off just under the M.2, but I can't take it off. So I'm trying to picture what you're doing here. So you're trying to get the stand off under the M.2, the one on the original motherboard, is it? But I can't take it off, so I just. Are you talking about the passive cooler that sits on the top? You're trying to remove that completely, where it's not coming off. Okay, exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you. I have my 9070 XT Steel Legends in a H5 Flow V2. Perfect. Oh, okay. Yes, I did. I'll bring that up in just a moment, which is pretty insane. So Fiery is asking if it's possible to take an M.2 stand. It all really depends on the motherboard, but you can take them off the most of the time. Now, I'm assuming you probably have. Now, ASUS boards, to say it is an ASUS board, they tend to have, they're a little bit harder to take off because they actually have like a long, they're not really threaded all the way. So instead they have like a long shank and then it's threaded. So in order for you to take it off, and it also has like a little, if you look underneath of it, they'll actually have almost like a clip under it. If you take that clip off and then you can unthread it, it'll actually come out. So that's what you have to look for. So if you do want to remove that and use the same screws that come with the stand to swap them out to the new heatsink that you want to put in it, you could do it that way, but just be mindful. Just make sure the depth is the same. If it's not, you want to get the screw and match it up. It sounds like a lot of work, but you're going to have to make sure, just sit them next to each other and see how much of a distance they are from each other. For example, if it's like 5 millimeters of a difference, you want to make sure that if it's say 5 millimeters higher, you just want to make sure to make up for that depth with that screw. So you want to, and the same thing with where the holes are cut out for that screw, because again, it has to be able to sit on the SSD well, so that way you can properly cool it. Or you also want to be careful if it is sitting too far down, because if it's sitting too far down and you use the same screws which sit higher, then you could end up damaging your board, because it won't go all the way through, I'll tell you that, but you could possibly mess up the threading when it comes to the screws, where it's not going to sit properly. Your screw will actually end up sticking out. So you have to be careful of that as well. So what's up, champ? No, it's still here. In fact, I got to actually move the Jonah cam because he actually changed up his spot, which I will figure out where that cam is and I will get it up to you, champ. You know what's funny? Right before I was coming into this live stream, I was thinking of that. I was thinking, where's his cam? I have to set it up because he's here, he's chilling, but he doesn't get enough of his stream time on there. And he looks like he's enjoying his nap, which I will show you momentarily. Let me just mention this whole 5090 scam that Daxis has brought up, which has happened with... It's funny because this is happening with Zotac, and Zotac already ran into all different issues with the 5090s. First, it was the ROPs. They didn't have enough ROPs in their 5090s. Again, with the 5090s, they should have up to 176. Some of their GPUs were pushing only 168. So some retailers are actually reselling those GPUs for a lower price. So for example, if Zotac was charging $2,700 for the same GPU, some of these retailers would be selling the same one for maybe $2,200, and you can get the same, you can get a 5090, but it's only at 168 ROPs compared to the full 176. So you won't get the full 5090 performance. More than likely you'll get the 5090D performance, but that's not the scam he's talking about. So the scam he's actually talking about is apparently somebody at Zotac. This is swapped out these GPUs with bags, and it happened at Micro Center. It wasn't just actually at one location, it happened in multiple locations, to where if you purchased a RTX 5090, you came home to think that you were getting a graphics card, you opened it up, and it turned out to be a book bag. So can you imagine that you're coming home thinking you're about to play in sweet 4K at 4K 120 frames, or even 4K 240 possibly, and you come home to take out a book bag that is inside of this box. And the funny thing is, yeah, it really isn't. It really isn't a bad option to do it, especially for those who don't have the extra money to spend on a RTX 5090. It's practically like a 5090D. If you do end up going with the 168 ROPs, you're missing about 8, so it's not a huge chunk, but you will notice less performance compared to a regular RTX 5090. But for those that ended up getting played by this whole case, where they opened up this box, they just got a book bag. They sent it back to Micro Center, and originally they thought there was somebody swapping these out. these GPUs out with just book bags. They thought it was probably scalpers because they're dirt bags, as we know, and they'll do anything to make any type of dollar. So they automatically assumed it's probably somebody like a scalper. But it turns out that it was actually going back as far as they tracked it. It was going back as far as Zotac. So it was coming out of Zotac with book bags to Micro Center. So that is what actually happened. And currently I know the case, I believe, is still under investigation with it. But apparently somehow it got through quality control from Zotac over to Micro Center with a book bag. So it almost seems like somebody had to know something and nobody is saying anything. So I play 4K 240 on Overwatch because I capped the FPS. Otherwise it would go higher. That would be insane. And I am not mad at scalpers. It is what it is. But I understand the hate. Yeah, it's quite a pain. Let me just connect you onto... So if anybody's wondering who I'm talking to Champ. He's over on Twitch. For some reason, social stream doesn't want to display it, so I'm going to try to bring him in here. It's funny when this happens because now let me try to stop it and restart it, and I bet it'll work. There we go. Hopefully you're live into the chat as well, Champ. But yeah, that's what has been happening with the whole Zotac case. And I have to mention this to you, Champ, too. In fact, I was mentioning earlier about the RTX 5090 that I currently have, the Gigabyte AORUS Master, but I do suspect that there possibly could be some sort of issue. So I'm going to be, at the end of this week, take out this RTX 5090, see if there is some sort of issue going on. So I'm going to investigate it, and once I conclude enough evidence, then I will actually announce it, because I don't want to throw out a brand out there under the bus if nothing actually really happened. So I'm going to do that this weekend, and I'll let you know if I have any findings when it comes to the RTX 5090. So that is going to be very interesting for the most part, because that just again proves more that Nvidia really has to, not just Nvidia, but it's just a mess from every retailer. The only ones that I haven't really heard too many issues from, even, I think, to be honest, and I am not just being some sort of what's the word for it? I'm not being biased in any way for it, but it seems like the only company I haven't really heard too much about was ASUS. There was only that one case where that capacitor, I think it was, the capacitor popped inside of the GPU, but that was only that one small case. I haven't heard anything from the ASUS side much. MSI, I've been hearing more, not really the GPUs as much, but more of the harnesses more than anything. It seems that the 12 volt high power port harnesses, when you connect them to either one, whether it's the straight to the power supply or you're using their harness, it seems like then there's an issue. But then the connection seems to be perfectly fine after. Of course, there was that one case where their connection actually melted, but then again, that was a whole nother issue. And they're using different power supplies as well, different brands, in order to connect to the GPU. But other than that, it seems like I hear more about Zotac and Gigabyte for the most part when it comes to the 50 series. I'm suspecting it. I'm seeing some weird issues. And like, for example, I don't know if it was coincidental, but I was, thanks to, I think it was Jupiter. Forgive me if I'm saying the name wrong if you're in here too, but Jupiter mentioned to me about the whole local transfers of files when it comes to Steam, and that's what I was doing. I was doing some local transfers, and I was doing it to the Bazite, the new program OS that I'm messing with, and I was transferring files, and I was transferring off the RTX 5090 PC. As I was transferring over, I noticed that it was unresponsive, the PC. The mouse didn't even move. It was like a hard freeze. So I actually had to physically reboot the PC. So I took a little closer look at the GPU, and I suspect something, but I can't be 100% certain until I actually take it apart to take a look. I'm suspicious for the most part, but I can say it doesn't have to do with anything like any type of burning or anything like that. Otherwise, of course, you would notice something like that. You would have smell melted plastic practically if that's the case, but nothing like that. But I did experience some hard freezing, and I'm going to check it out to see if that's the case. But yeah, it's a little bit unusual. But I did notice when I rebooted the PC, it had made me relog into Steam. So I have no idea if it has to do with the actual program, but I'm going to play it some more, and I'm going to try to stress it out a bit and see if the GPU goes under any type of duress to where it ends up hard freezing or anything like that. But I'm going to do a lot more tests definitely this upcoming week on it. But for the most part, the 5090 has been okay. It can work great at times, but more of the issues that I face more than anything, more than these hard freezes or anything like that, is the actual driver updates. It's the drivers that I feel that is really messing with the card more than anything. So hopefully, I'm hoping maybe it's either driver related or maybe software related when it came to Steam. It's really odd for it when I did the whole local transfer, but it did again ask me to relog into Steam because of it. So I will examine it. I will go through some games, some heavier titled games, and see how well it reacts to it. So I will be doing more streams of playing some Expedition 33. That game's great, by the way, I gotta say, for the most part. I've really enjoyed the story. If you haven't played Expedition 33, definitely got to check it out. It's a lot of fun. Doom's also a great game as well. But the thing is, again, it's not it's a lot of fun playing it, but it doesn't keep you locked in as much as something like Expedition 33. Or maybe it's just a nice feel to finally get back into RPGs again, because it's a nice change of pace from playing so many first-person shooters after all these years. That seems like that's what we have a lot of. So Snecker says, can there be any problems if I buy a cheap 24-pin and 2x8 ARGB extension cable? Now, are you doing this on a... Or if you're doing it on a build, if you already have the motherboard, then more than... Oh, what's up, Alex? Good to see you here. And it all depends if do you already have the motherboard already? Because a lot of times they'll have those ARGB cables in there, like ARGB extensions. Or check out your motherboard box if you kept it. If you already did the build, maybe you have some in there, because they typically give you probably like another 2 or 3 ARGB cables. They give you a lot. See if that's the case. If they didn't, it shouldn't really be an issue. Just, again, I would highly recommend going to somebody like Cable Mods or Cable Matters even, or even there's a few brands I can name out there that I would go to just in case. You could always get cheap ARGB wires, but this is the thing. If you use the wrong wires and they're cheaper wires, there can be cases where you can actually damage your board because of that. So you don't want to save $5 and have your board burn when you can just spend the extra $5 when you're guaranteed to know that everything will be good. So check your motherboard box, and also I would recommend spending a little bit more. Get something that's like Cable Mods, or Cable Matters is another one, and what's the other one? Mod DIY is another good place. Or even if you have a Micro Center close to you, you can even get it through them. Amazon does have some too. So funny thing I noticed is on Twitch you're on normal size screen 69, but YouTube you are in Oh, it's because, I have 2 formats that I stream from. So on YouTube I do verticals, and I also do the horizontal formats as well. And on Twitch I do the widescreen format. So it all depends on the type of platform you're on. but that's pretty funny though. Yeah, it seems like YouTube really likes to push this this vertical format more, so that's why I've been doing that as well. It's the same on, I think, TikTok as well when I push it out. No problem at all. Snacker, I'm glad I could help. And if anybody else has any questions, feel free to ask. And please join the Discord if you have any questions at all. If you are too shy to ask in here, that's perfectly fine. I'll send it out here. And any one of our guides, I don't know if Alex is still in here, but he's our mod. He's a great guy. He's also willing to help you out if I'm unavailable to reach. And anybody else, any one of our great fan band will also be willing to help. There's been a ton of people that's been doing some great builds out there. And I've seen quite a few 9070 XTs. I've seen some 50 series builds. In fact, like the first few members I remember getting, even before I got the RTX 5090, they were getting the RTX 5090 and they were pulling some great numbers. And they were getting like, they had, one has a Founders Edition. I think Ezekiel does. He has a Founders Edition card and it runs really decent. And you have one member that he just purchased between the RTX 5070 Ti or a Founders Edition 5080. So he chose to keep the Founders Edition 5080. Again, you get the better better ROPs out of it. It is the better card over the 5070 Ti. But thanks a lot, Alex. I do appreciate it. Hopefully, I wonder how the whole timing is. It also seems like the streams have been pushing out better. And that's something else I've really stressed about Comcast too, is the fact that the limited upload speeds that they have. I wish I could get more. I wish I had FiOS. So that way I just heard somebody join Discord. I appreciate anybody who did. And I do have to say, I do not like Comcast at all. If you could avoid Comcast for cable internet, please do. Go to fiber optics. It's at least they have equal download and upload speeds. It's so uneven to the point where I get 1.1 gigabits of internet, right? Of download speeds. That's great. But when it comes to upload speeds, I get about 40 megabits. So you could see the difference in speed there. But at least when I had fiber optics, that it would always match up the speeds with downloads and uploads. And plus, the thing about cable internet, because it's a more shared platform, depending on how many people have it and are using it, then it can affect your speeds as well. But yeah, you think fast uploads? It all depends on what you're doing it on. For me personally, I feel uploads very important because I can understand for those that may feel like they don't need it. Now I know like guys like Alex, a great guy, you got to check him out as well. He has a great Twitch channel. He also has a YouTube channel, but like guys like us, like when it comes to upload speeds, it's critical because if we're uploading on how we're streaming right now on 3 or 4 different platforms, the upload limit kind of kills us when it comes to it. In fact, I tried to stream on including X before, but that's when I ended up getting capped out, and it ended up not streaming very well, where it would not stream as well on Twitch, it wouldn't stream as well on X. So same for me. I tried the speed test and yeah, oh, that sucks. I got 350 upload. Oh, really? Well, see, the thing is, Marco, I can say that Comcast is trying to improve. There are some areas where Comcast are building fiber optics, and it all depends on the area that you're in. So you may have Comcast to where you actually have the fiber optics, and if that's the case, that would be great. So you get about 40-ish, but around 300 plus for downloads. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's where I'm at. Like if we go live and do a speed test here, which I can show you real quick. Let's do it real quick. Let's run it. It might not look great because I'm online now, but let's see here. So I am going to the internet side here, and we will run the speed test. So right now I'm on Xfinity. It might not be too accurate, but here it is. Still pretty decent since I'm not really using download speeds when I'm on the internet now, but the upload speeds are probably going to be horrendous right now because I'm streaming as it is now. Yeah, it went it's in half now practically. Yeah, you see it? It's like between 18 and 19. Look at the disparity between the two. That is quite the difference. But yeah, that's exactly what I mean when it comes to the speed test. When it comes to the internet, it just is horrendous when it comes to Comcast, for at least in my area. If you got 350 upload speed, I gotta ask, where are you getting that internet at? Because apparently here in South Florida, they don't take good care of us down here. I work for a cable company, and we are working on new tech for faster upload. Oh, that would be great. Please let them know that we do need at least some faster tech. If I would really respect Comcast for that side of it. And another thing that bothered me too was the whole data cap when it came to their internet. If you're uploading a video, and yes. Oh, really? So, I got 910.46 for downloads. I think it's the best result I've seen. And uploads, I get, yes, that's like more average. That's what it should be at. Like you probably have the 1 gigabit connection and the 40 megabit connection, like when it comes to upload speeds. Yeah, and also that's a big thing too, is because I do upload a lot of videos is another plus, especially when I'm on the go, because I've noticed the difference. If I'm uploading a video on YouTube, you can see the difference in speed when I had quicker uploads. But now if you don't upload too often, then it doesn't matter as much. Now, Denver, Colorado, it's not fiber as I get to. Oh, you got that explains it. You got 2.5 gigabit connection. And if you have that, I see. Well, if you have the 250 gigabit connection, all the power to you. I want to upgrade to that type of speed, but I need to first upgrade my modem that I currently have. I currently have the Motorola one, which is the DOCSIS 3.1. I need to get another version. I guess it's 3.2 now. They don't have 4 yet, but I think it's DOCSIS, is it 3.2 or 3.3 now, where you can get that limit. But I have to upgrade the modem and then would have to pay even more for 2.5 gigabit connection. But I upload videos on YouTube and it takes a long time. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's where you'll notice it a lot, is more or so when you're uploading long format videos, or especially if you're trying to upload like a clear stream, like one of your 2-hour streams. It's rough. It's a waste of money to get 2 gigabit speed. Personally, I feel, yeah, it's really not necessary. I agree with Champ on it, but I guess you have to be using a ton of data. You have to be doing a lot of different transfers in order to take advantage of it. But more the power to you. If maybe your company pays for it, that's even better if it does. It's because I know some companies are willing to pay for their internet. If that's the case, if you are a remote worker, I know that can happen as well. I live in the Netherlands, and some people around me have fiberglass, and their upload is the same as, and that's the thing. That's what I meant by the fiber optics. It's that's what we have it too. So you have 700 by 800 megabits per second. That's pretty decent. If you have that type of speed, that is impressive. That's what I originally was getting when I had Ryzen 5s. And I had Ryzen 5s like about, 4 years ago, I think it was. But again, I was in a whole different area. And there they actually had two companies. They had both Comcast and they both have Verizon 5s. But here, we also have AT&T fiber, but for some reason they haven't spread to this area of South Florida. So I'm hoping one or two things happen. Hopefully, Champ can be the inventor of the quicker uploads. We would have really appreciated down here in South Florida, or even switching providers if that's possible. But I don't see that happening. I would have to move to a whole another area more than likely where they would actually have fiber internet, unfortunately, because I've tried contacting AT&T and I asked for the suggestion, and they just straight up told me, like, hey, just to let you know, Comcast has a monopoly in your area, so there's nothing we can really do. So when they said that, that kind of made it feel hopeless at that point. So I got upgraded to 1 gigabit down to 2. I don't know why. Laugh out loud. Oh, if that's the case, then I would really appreciate it from Comcast. But the other thing that bothered me about them was not just the upload speeds, but the other issue that they gave me was the whole data cap. Now, everybody out there who has Comcast, I do have to ask, do you guys either rent your modem or did you purchase your modem? Do you use their gateway modem because I know if you rent their modem, where I think you pay like an extra $25 a month and you get unlimited data for it. For some reason, I got a data cap of 1.2 terabytes, hence why I couldn't stream last Wednesday. I could only stream on that Saturday. But I was thinking of either doing that or even going to pay for the extra internet or the extra data, where I would have to pay $30 a month more on top of my internet to get the unlimited data. But it all depends, again, if you're using that much data. You have the Comcast modem. Okay, so you probably have the unlimited data then. And have you been impressed with it for the most part? I guess you use the Wi-Fi that's in the modem? That's the only other thing that I have a question about, because I know you can always bridge Wi-Fis. So I'm just curious because, again, I also have a Wi-Fi router here. So it's not like I want to make it not useless. Pay the extra $25. Okay. I use the Wi-Fi from the modem. Okay. I don't have a separate router. I see. So for the most part, it seems like the majority of people just say get the Comcast modem instead. It seems like it's the better deal. See, the good thing about it too is if Comcast ever does if they update their speeds and just say like 2 gigabits becomes standard for some reason, then you get like a free upgrade with the modem, which is the nice part. It's not really free because you're renting it technically, but at least you'll be always up to date instead of buying a modem, then it gets out of date, then you have to buy a whole nother modem again when it hits its cap. Because again, my cap for this particular modem could only go up to 1 gigabit and that's it. It can't go above it. Even though I have the extra 100 megabits of internet, it will never reach that level because, again, it's practically bottlenecked at that point. So, Toasterino says, I'm planning to build a PC with a 9060 XT. Good night, Snecker. I do appreciate you for joining. Thank you. So Toasterino says, I'm planning to build a PC with the 9060 XT in it, and I'm upgrading from a 5700 XT. Think that's a great idea? Absolutely. I think it's a good idea to do an upgrade such as that. Again, you're going to be on a whole nother platform. More than likely, I'm assuming you're going to AM5 if you're going to do a PC build. If you go to AM5, you'll be on PCI Express 5, you'll be on DDR5, you'll be all up to date, because supposed to be this year that DDR4 will be, they will stop producing it as much. And when that happens, then a new DDR4 RAM will cost either the same or even more than DDR5 if it hasn't already, since I haven't looked at DDR4 RAM in a while. But the good thing is you'll be up to date on that side, and you'll have the better speeds. You won't have any type of bottleneck. And again, with the 9070 XT as well, they also are on the PCI Express 5 bus, so you won't have a bottleneck through the actual PCI Express bus. Because if you do put it on the 5700 XT, that same board, the AM4 board, just say, and you have an AM4 processor, you'll be bottlenecked on that if you only upgrade the graphics card, because you're only on PCI Express 4 on that board. But yeah, I don't know if am impressed since I have not tried anything else, but it works. As long as if it works, that's the most important part, I gotta say. So yeah, I'm currently on an AM4 and I have a Micro Center near me, so I'm planning on making a PC under 1,000 with a new budget card. You definitely could do it. I gotta say, you have to be thankful to have a Micro Center near you. Apparently, there's very few all across the U.S. I gotta say, there's only like, I think it's 13 total across the U.S. And if they have a great build kit, just like a starter build kit, where you can get like a AM5 processor. In fact, let's go on Micro Center right now. We'll take a look together. We'll go on Micro Center right now, and let me fix this for you guys so you guys can see this a bit better here. There you go. I'll zoom in a bit for you. Okay, so we're going to Micro Center here. And they have a really awesome deal. Here it is, like right off the bat. There's 3 right here. And there's 4 in my state. And I only, yeah, that's a good thing about living in New York, I gotta say. It's very convenient to get anywhere, like when it comes to Micro Center. And you guys have a ton of stores that you can take advantage of there that a lot of other states do not have. Now, I'm planning to grab a 9600X AMD bundle and building off of that. That's great. Let me see. Here goes, and then, for example, 9700. But pretty much the same gist of it. But you can get this. Oh, wait. This is just the processor, right? Because usually they will state that what it will come with on the bundle. Let me go back here. I messed that up. All right, let's go check out top deals. It's probably under here, but you've seen the bundles. That's the main point. But I just got to show everybody else, if you don't know what Toast Arena is talking about and you haven't been to Micro Center, you got to check it out. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Now, let's see processors. I keep clicking see all, but it's not loading up for some reason. The internet's acting slow right now. It just doesn't want to connect. There we go. Okay, perfect. So, let's see. Bundles. Here we go. 9700X. And this one has the 32 gigabyte DDR5 6000, which is what you would want if you are building an AM5 platform, because 6000 megahertz is the magic number for the Infinity cache. And it also comes with a motherboard, special savings, it says. Okay. I'm pretty sure they got a kit. I remember there's kit. Oh, wait, right here. Shop AMD bundles. That's where it is. My fault, Toastery. Now I see it. If it wants to load up. I don't know why it's sending a request at Facebook. There you go. Here we go. That's what we're looking for. That's a 9800X 3D bundle. Motherboard upgrade. That's a 7600X. You said 9600X, right? Let's look it up. I'm just going to use the find tool. Right there. That's it. That's exact. I was thinking of the same exact bundle as you were thinking. So the 9600X, $300. Now you can get, I don't know why they gave it 2.5 stars. Somebody must have got something that was messed up in there, but 350 USD at the bottom. Let me see. Oh, it's sold out at this store. Oh, I see. So 300. Oh, because if you get because this one has the smaller board. This one's the micro ATX board, I'm assuming. Let me go down here and choose. This one is micro ATX. Yeah, micro ATX. I kind of figured that. So if you get the bigger board, it's probably $50 more, I assume. If you get the standard ATX. If you go back, okay. Oh, maybe it's up here, right here. I see what you mean. No, that ain't it. Because these are, yeah. It should say it on the right. Yeah, I see the ones down here, but maybe if I go back, it's probably out on this page. For some reason, it's not showing, or they probably sold out of it, I'm guessing. Let me go back. I'm just going to go back. And that's a 70. They must have ran out of it. 90. Oh, right here. This must be it. ASUS B650M. No. Not a B650M. No. Now I'm just looking at the picture to make sure. 7700. It's on the right side. Is it? So it's this one. Are you talking about this one, the 340? This one right here. This one's also, because this one I know is also micro ATX, right? Yeah, a B650M. Anytime you see B650M, I know they're the micro ATX. Nothing wrong with it at all. If you're going micro ATX, it's still a great deal, personally. Especially when they, if you're doing it on a full build scale, this actually will be more compact. You'll have a lot more room for any other type of peripheral that you put in it. But either way, this is going to be that's great RAM that it comes with, a great board, and it's also a great processor too. This is a great deal, and so is the other one. This is also a great deal for $300. They do have the 7600, but again, you just want to spend the extra $20 to get the 9600 to be, if you want to be on the latest processor. And again, they're practically going to be, this is a little bit more improved, the 9600X over the 7600X. This is just old stock that they're trying to get rid of. The original, it seems, I bet they did have full ATX builds here too. But the thing is, they're going to be a little bit more now. Like the 7600X 3D, that's not a bad one actually at all. Because this will get you a B650E with it, and you get RAM with it. People usually go under 170 to 220 motherboards, but I kindly would recommend higher ends if you all got the budget for it. I do agree that, like, if you do have the budget, you can spend a little bit more, because you won't run into certain limits when it comes to a motherboard. Usually I recommend full ATX if you can, but if you want to go micro ATX, that's good as well. You're just going to be limited when it comes to the whole PCI Express side. You can use, and the same thing when it comes to the lanes, when it comes to the NVMe. So that's something you just want to double check for sure when you do get it. But either way, they do have some great boards on sale. Now the big debate between the two, I gotta say, when it comes to like either B650s or you compare it to like a B850, it's not going to be a large scale difference between the two. So if you are just trying to upgrade from a prior generation like AM4, or you're going to a prior generation from Intel and you're switching over to AMD, B650 is perfectly good. Same thing with a B850. They're both practically equal. Now there's some different hardware that's in here. Some of the audio codecs will be a little bit better actually when the B650s over the B850s. USB-C will also be different. USB-C has become a little bit more of a standard when it comes to the B850, so that would be a little bit different. Now, if we look at this board here, I'm not sure if it's going to show the back of it, but we can look it up real quick. But if you look on the back of this specific board, this ASUS B650E Tough Gaming, and we take a look at the I/O plates, let's look it up here. If you take a look at the back of the I/O plate, you'll see the difference. Let's see. So right here, you get pretty much a standard connection. You got one USB-C. You do have the older B650s. They have the threaded Wi-Fi on there. They also, but the audio is actually better on these. They also have just USB 3.2 Gen 2, USB 3 here, and then the flashback. That's what that's for. You got the HDMI. Hopefully you guys can see it on the mobile side. And the integrated graphics, if you choose to use it, more than likely you're probably not going to touch this. So I got my ASUS ROG Strix B760 F400. That's a steal. I gotta say, KOTY, that is a steal. I gotta shake your hand for that one. All right, so if we go to B850, and you'll see a little bit difference. Also with the Ethernet speed too, when it comes to your internet, if you're plugging it through Ethernet, it's going to be a little bit more on the B850, which is, this is how it looks. No, this is B650 again. Let's go back. Where is it at? B650, B650, B850. That's actually priced a little bit high for this motherboard. But this is a different motherboard a little bit too. This has the quick connects, Wi-Fi 7. Yeah, and you can see the spacing's a bit different. You have an upgrade when it comes to USB-C. This ignore, pretty much the same thing. You have USB 3.2 right here, and then USB 3 here. Now the audio's here. Again, it's, even though it has more ports, technically it's not, the audio codec is not as good as it is on the B650. And you do have a BIOS flashback. So it's not like a huge difference between the two. So if you choose to go B650, again, you won't be missing out on a ton. There's a little few improvements, which is the Wi-Fi 7. You have the 2.5 gigabit connection, if you have that full capability. You also have the, let's see, pretty much the same all across. A little bit extra connections here if you choose to use it. Different audio codec, but the audio codec's better on the B650. And you get a flashback button. So that would be the difference between the two of it. So let's go back here. But yeah, Micro Center really has some great deals when it comes to if you're doing a PC build and you're going AM5, that is the place to check out. I also recommend going on places like Newegg and Amazon. A lot of times they'll have a deal on it. Summertime's usually a good time to really look because they're trying to offload whatever products they have for the fall time, because we all know when it comes to the fall, we can expect Intel to release their 18A processors, Panther Lake and everything. Maybe they'll release it then, which is going to be a whole nother generation. It's not going to be on Intel's LGA 1851 anymore. They're moving to Intel's LGA 1956. So can you believe they just did one and done with that one generation? So if you have Intel 1851, you can really only have a chipset or really a processor from 2024, and that's it. They'll probably have some for 2025, but not much. I could see them coming out with a refresh possibly, but I don't see them pushing for any more processors, especially because they know that line didn't do as well. So that's why they're coming out with Intel 1956, not Intel, LGA 1956, which is possibly going to introduce PCI Express 6, maybe DDR6, but we will find out soon once they do the full announcements. We won't hear about that till September, but it will be interesting for the most part if they do decide to do that. So if you're interested in Intel's upcoming chipset, I'm just curious. I know a lot of people are not big fans of Intel currently. There's a few people out there that do have Intel processors. They are great processors. When it comes to Alder Lake, I really enjoyed. Raptor Lake is a bit mixed because of its needed constant updates because of the thermal issues. I think they pushed their last BIOS update. And speaking of BIOS updates, if you do get a motherboard, ASRock, if you are thinking of getting the ASRock, they did update the BIOS with it, which was affecting the whole TDP in it, which was affecting the whole thermals. in those motherboards. So if you are planning to get a motherboard such as ASRock, if you want to take the risk and get one and be able to update the BIOS, and you can update the BIOS without the CPU in there if you wanted to, but if you do it, just make sure to do that and before you put the CPU in. But if you do put the CPU in, obviously don't do anything that's CPU intensive. You could just go to the internet, download the new BIOS, and then flash it into the motherboard, and it should be okay. There shouldn't be any more burning, because ASRock practically mentioned that it wasn't really dirt inside of the socket as originally intended, or what they said. It really is a problem when it comes to their BIOS management and when it comes to their voltage regulations, when it comes to the processors. So now that they have a BIOS update for it, make sure to do it. Or if you are on an ASRock board, make sure to update your BIOS as soon as you can, so you can avoid any further issues or possible issues to where you could have a crispy processor. So Code TY says, there's also a web called Pangoli to find recommended motherboards. Thanks for streaming this, by the way. There's also a MSI Meg B860 Tomahawk on sale for a $200 with 256. Really? That's a steal. See, Intel's just trying to offload their motherboards at this point. I gotta check that out. Is that on that same website, Pangoli, as you mentioned, or is that on Micro Center? Because we could look on Micro Center just to see if it is on there. If it isn't, we can easily swap over. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out too. Let's see, B860. Okay, so it's okay. So we'll go on Pangoli and find it. So for the moment, let me switch over here while I search here, and we'll find it. Pangoli. Oh, here we go. This must be it. Yeah, I've never heard of Pangoli. This is interesting. So, and I'm going to highlight what you said here, copy and paste this. Is this it? And on their bundles, where does it say it? I see that you can look it up, price history. You can see the price trends. But that's just for the motherboard itself. It looks like this website's like practically like almost like looking for the best prices all across the internet. So it's finding that most like Newegg, MSI, B&H. I'm gonna look up the same board too, just out of curiosity, over on Micro Center and see what they have price. Because if you guys didn't know too, Micro Center also price matches as well. So if you say you found it on Newegg for that, like say you found it for $209.99 and they have it for more, let's see, like they do have it for more. So they have it for $229. You can actually get them to say like, hey, I saw it on Newegg, not Newegg, but for $209.99, could you price match this deal? And they won't give you an issue. Unless that manager wants to be absolute, you know. But anyway, most of the time they're good. They're not going to give you a problem. Just tell them like, hey, I found it for $209. Same thing at Best Buy. If you find anything at Best Buy has been pretty bad recently. They seem to be like out of date for the last year. Yeah. I just discovered Micro Center last week since so you got the Micro. Are you near that location, the one that just opened? I know which location you're at then. Oh, okay. How'd you like it? How'd you like Micro Center? I gotta say, Alex, it's quite the experience, right? Especially when it's brand new like that. It's a beautiful store. They got everything you can think of. I really think they need to spread out to like places like Canada because they would make a killing if they did. Because there's so many people that go into the stream that they say that Micro Center is that they need a Micro Center. Yeah, exactly. It's just like Fry's, but more modern. That's exactly how it is. And did they have the whole they had the whole PC build section there, you saw, right? Like when you walked in there, you saw a section where everyone's like building their own PCs. They have like their equipped tools and everything, which is pretty cool. If you wanted to build your PC inside of a Micro Center. And also they and the way they organize everything is just like how you want it. Like you have you'll have like the SSDs next to the to the motherboards and the power supplies. Like all the PC building stuff has its own aisles, so you could walk through the aisles and pick out what you would like. Yeah, the queue was very long to build a PC. Yeah, I bet it was. That's the thing. It's going. There's always going to be a long line for people like building PCs there. Did they have any promos there? In fact, I don't have it with me, but I'll bring it on the next stream for sure. The promo that they had for the Micro Center when they just opened it up here, it was open of last year of August. The promo that they had was that they were giving out these mugs that had Micro Center on it, and it was my wife and I. We went there, and so we ended up getting 2 mugs out of the deal. Yeah, but it's a wonderful store for the most part, and if you're looking for anything, more than likely to have it. Usually they have really great deals on GPUs. Oh, you got the mug and the USB key. That's awesome. The funny thing is I forgot the USB key, and I really need some. A lot of my USB keys that I do have, they're all like they're mostly like antiquated. So there was this one USB key that I got that actually has like a little bit of rust on the edge. So it's always sketchy using it. So I never use it for things like having a Windows OS on it, or I never use it for having like something like a rescue media, because that's too high risk. More than likely, I don't want to end up causing more of an issue to where now I got to fix the issue that I caused. Oh, what's up? Puru? I'll just call you Puru. I don't want to butcher your name there. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate you joining. Hopefully you're thinking of doing some sort of PC build, or if you have any type of tech question, feel free to ask. I'm here to help you answer that. If you are looking for, say, like a 9070 XT or NVIDIA RTX, feel free to ask. But yeah, that's a thing. Be really mindful of the type of USB media you use. I actually still have some that's actually reliable. This one was a USB 3. Funny enough, it was a PNY USB that I was having issues with, and I decided to chalk that away and get rid of it because of the rust. And probably half of it's my fault too, because I had it on my keys, and I always just bring a USB with me just in case if I ever need to use it when I'm out for some reason. But anyway, I had to end up chalking that. Even though it actually had a plastic cover, but it didn't do any good against the weather, obviously, because of the rust. And so I ended up getting more USB keys out of it. So, yeah. Oh, nice. I'm excited for you. You came to the right channel. I have a 4070 Ti Super 850 watt power supply and a huge case. And I'm thinking of upgrading my PC. Okay. So you're thinking of upgrading your PC, and you have a 4070 Ti and 850 watt power supply and a huge case. Did you just recently purchase those items, is it? 9800 X3D, Gigabyte 8870 Pro, 2 terabytes. It sounds like you're on the right path, and a cooler. So what type of cooler are you thinking? Are you thinking air cooling, or are you thinking of AIO? Because those depends on the type of cooler you are looking for. I always recommend, there's a couple of coolers I can recommend that I can think right off the top of my head for you for a build like this for the 9800 X3D. If you go AIO, I'd say you can go for it's an excellent build. Definitely a great build. You're on the right path. And okay, so AIO. Okay, so if you're thinking of going AIO, you could go NZXT Kraken. They're great coolers, 360 millimeter radiator. If you want to avoid, I know some people aren't fans of Corsair. Corsairs are also really good when it comes to it. If you're looking, are you looking for any specific budget? I should have asked in the first place. And the XT is a little bit more expensive when it comes to the Kraken AIOs, but they're great to have, and they're silent for the most part, and they perform well. Most importantly, they keep the temperatures nice and cool. So you are currently running on a 5600X B550M motherboard, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 3000 megahertz of DDR5. Oh, okay. That's not actually a bad build. That's pretty decent. But I'll tell you right now, if once you go to the 9800 X3D, that's going to be quite the upgrade. Now you have about 1,500 euros to upgrade everything. Okay, so how much? Okay, so how much of a budget are you looking for when it comes to the AIO side? Also, feel free to join the Discord channel, which I'll send to you, and I can definitely send you a list if you want, which is right here. By the way, anybody can type this in if you want to, which is just explanation Discord, and the Discord channel will come up if you just want to join it. I don't know why it's looks insane right now, but anyway. But if you are for the AIO budget, how much are you thinking? Because NZXT is going to be a little bit on the higher side. Corsairs are actually a little bit cheaper. And it also depends on the one you want. Now, it doesn't have to be the one with the LCD cooler, which is the Elite LCD. You can get the Elite LCD XT, or you can go with the what's the other one they call it? The Capelix. You can get the Corsair Capelix instead, and that will be a little bit cheaper. They even have an all black one if you don't really care for aesthetics. Also, another cooler, the ASUS Ryujin, you can also get as well. Ryujin 3, I can recommend that. But more than likely, I would say the more expensive first is, well, actually the Ryujin's more higher, but I would put NZXT, I would get first, Corsair next, and then I would put ASUS under that when it comes to the AIO coolers. Yeah, no problem at all. I have no budget on it as such for AIOs. Do you think the LED screen is good? Oh yeah, absolutely. It's customizable. You could set videos or you could set a GIF depending on the type of AIO you have. They do have some newer ones out there, which are really fancy. TRX has, not TRX, but it's something like that. But they have that really dope looking one where it's like a panoramic CPU cooler. I've never tried it, so I can't talk for the cooling side. But it looks amazing, but I don't know how well it cools. I can't speak on them for that. But I can tell you the coolers off those top of my head that those work excellent as well. I can't decide on a motherboard. I really don't want to spend $300, but I understand my build isn't cheap for a 4090 9800 X3D. Well, to be fair, $300, you can get a pretty decent motherboard. On AM5's line, you can get, in fact, you could get even the ASUS ASUS X870 tough motherboard you can get. And that's going to be their full scale motherboard, and that's like about $270, I can say. That's a good one you can take a look at for sure. Perugi also says, my PC case is called Dark Flash. I think it was something local, but my case is huge. My older case was small. When I bought the 4070 Ti, I had to buy a new case. Yeah, I think a lot of us did, because it was mostly because the cables would be sticking out, and either you would run into the risk of pulling the cables to where the pins would pull out a little bit, and then you would cause resistance to where that's hence where you get that short, where they were burning out. At least you were willing enough to be able to do a swap out the case, and but it's good that you also have that case, especially if you're going for that new build. Because earlier I was using a 1050 Ti. That's understandable. Way different of a size. Yeah, you're probably sold double. It's like about double, I'd say, of a 1050 Ti for the most part. And but that was the big problem. If you had a lot of cases earlier prior to, what was it, 2022, some into 23 even, a lot of cases are more narrow. But if you take look at a lot of cases now when it comes to PC cases, you will notice that they're a lot more wider, and they all have, a lot of them feature kind of, I would call it the Lian Li look, because they were kind of, I feel, the originators of that, almost that tank look when it comes to PCs. But there are some decent cases that are going to come out soon. There's some beautiful cases I saw at Computex where they're more like a spherical. So it's actually, it doesn't look as boxy. It looks actually kind of more modern, kind of like a unibody, like how a vehicle would look. It's more, has curves to it. So yeah, I bet it is. That's the funny thing is, anytime you do an upgrade like that, everyone, including myself, you tend to not look at the dimensions until you actually get it. And when you look at these dimensions, you're like, it is humongous. Such as the difference between the, you would think the RTX 5090 was going to be a lot smaller, but it was just insane because they were showing it just as if it was going to be a card that is going to be smaller, but instead it was still the same size as the 4090. 4090 was huge compared to even the 3080 Ti that I had earlier. So I've been looking at MSI X670 850 Tomahawk. Isn't tough the lower end? Yes, it is. Prime is even lower. Just to let you know, it's Prime, tough, and then it goes ROG. I really want B650 Steel Legend, but there are some issues with ASRock and the 9800 X3. Yeah, it's funny. You probably tuned in and heard what I was saying about it, right? About how there was issues with that line, and that recently ASRock pushed out a BIOS update, and they actually spoke in all different areas. Specifically, they spoke to the US company, ASRock, and they announced it there where they're pushing the BIOS. I think today, or it was either yesterday or today, that they also talked to the Korea side of ASRock about pushing out the BIOS update because they want everybody to get the update. Now, this isn't specific to, just to let you know, it's not the B650s or the X670Es. This is specific to the B850s and the B870. I'm not X870s that they're talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I probably mentioned it there if you did see it. But if you are afraid of that, now there are a lot of great motherboards. If you are thinking of going to the MSI line, I do recommend getting the Carbon, but I think Carbon's a little bit more now. They got a little bit more expensive on the motherboard side. Carbon's really good. MSI Carbon is one I recommend. MSI, let me take a look on the list real quick so I have a better idea. Tomahawk's not bad. That's like their classic board. I think that's like $300, matter of fact, right? That's actually right at your limit. That's not a bad board. Let me see. And there are so many 870s. There is a lot of 870s, I gotta say. But I'll type it in. We'll go into here. We'll try this out and take a look at motherboards, because I'm curious how it looks. And you know what's funny? I always forget this brand makes motherboards. It's like the forgotten brand when it comes to motherboards. They have great coolers, as I mentioned, but for some reason, motherboards always slips my mind when it comes to NZXTs, X870E. But it does kind of make me curious about how this board is. So we'll go to the MSI side. Let me go down here. And let's see. And $300 limit. Let's see if we could set it through that. Advanced filters. And I'm pretty sure there's a limit in price. Where is it? Right here. Okay. That should be good. Now, the funny thing is I thought I put MSI. There we go. Let's try it again. Hopefully it doesn't reset. No, it just, yeah, it resets it. Okay, we'll just go into MSI then. And then we'll look at we'll sort by high to low. That'll be the easiest way to look. Gigabyte's good too. Yeah, the Pro or the AORUS Elite, they're great boards. They're both great boards. This is a dream board, but look at that price. Oh man, that's like a PC build right there. That can buy you at nearly a you can actually get a RTX 5080 cheaper than this. That's insane. Here it is. Edge is good. Carbon, that's one I recommend. Let me go down here. Now it's going to 590s. Let me see if I can sort it here. Save comparisons, sort by. All right, let me just go forward. This is a mix with Intel too in here, just to let you know. So it's a little bit off. You know what? Let's just go. I know this is just probably my habit, but instead we'll just go over to Micro Center. Instead, got the page already open, in fact. And we'll look over here, because then we can sort it by, sort it by the actual socket. That way it'll be a lot easier for us to find the motherboard. How's that sound? And, okay, so we just got to go over to PC Builders. No, PC Parts, my fault. And then we'll go over to Motherboards, and then we'll find the socket. AM5 is the one we're looking for, AMD motherboards. And here we can actually select the size socket. There we go. And now we can specifically look for MSI, and we can look for Gigabyte as well. Here we go. Gigabyte, MSI, and we could even set the price. We'll put 200 to 300. Perfect. Perfect. Just how we want it. So the Tomahawk, of course, it's actually a little bit cheaper now, $289, which is good. But this is the 670E. I think isn't the 870E the same price? Maybe it's a little bit more than I thought. But let's take a look here. And if you take a look at this board, okay, so it does have the quick connect here. This is going to be for the PCI Express 5. More than likely you have a shared NVMe here. So you don't want to put anything here if you choose to do it. It does have the lever. Hopefully you guys can see it. Let me drag that up some. Drag this down some. Hang on. Oh, wait. There you go. Perfect. And for you guys on mobile. Okay. So right here it does have the quick release. Yeah, perfect. It does have the quick release right there. Hopefully you guys, can you see the cursor? I guess not. I'll just point it out. Like where you see this metal bus is where the PCI Express 5 is. And over here is where they actually have the quick release. Here is where they have the M.2 drive that you can actually install. But again, I wouldn't install it there because more than likely it's going to be shared. And it seems that, okay, so it just has standard DIMM connections. Nothing too crazy. Just the standard latches. Nothing overly different. But we'll go over to the back side where you want to look at the I/O plate. It has two USB-Cs, which is what you want, and more than likely they're this one's actually the X670E. That's it. And this one's 2.5 gigabits. Yeah, the crazy thing is $300 used to buy you a really nice motherboard back then. I remember when I spent like $300 on a Hero board from ASUS, and that was like high end at that time. But anyway, this is 3.2 Gen 2, 3.2 Gen 2. Then you got USB 3.1 possibly right here, and then from here you have your microphone. You have your speaker connections, and as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the X670E audio codecs are a lot better than the current X870E audio codecs. They tend to be a little bit more choppier, in my opinion, on the X870Es. So that's a good thing. The sound is much better on that side. Now it comes with Wi-Fi 6E, of course, but then again, doesn't matter because you can always upgrade the Wi-Fi if you really need to, and more than likely, you're probably not going to use Wi-Fi on the desktop. And this is actually I'm not 300, sorry. This is $289.99 USD currently. But after taxes, depends on your area. I'm not sure what state you're in, but if you're in the States, I can't say. But if you're paying in euros, let me know. And then I can go somewhere else for that, actually. But yeah, this is, I can say 289 USD. What else? Yeah, I think that's just about it. Of course, you got the flashback button. And does it have USB flash? Yeah, just a flashback BIOS button. That's it. But that's this board. And if you want to look at a Gigabyte board, let's see, you have Gigabyte AORUS Elite. Here it is, yes. And this one's an X870. Now, if you want to go more up to date, I kind of did a unboxing similar to something like this, but it was for the Intel side. But it's going to be practically very similar. It's just a different chipset. So instead of because I did one on the the Z890, this one's specifically the X870. So if you see that video, I explain everything about the board in detail if you want to see that. But anyway, this also has their newer levers in there, which is pretty nice. You see that button? It's all going to be on the right of the RAM. And if you look on the right of the RAM, which is right there, it's like a square. It's like a big square. That's actually to release your PCI Express, which is very convenient for you. Also for me, I have a friend who has a company here in Ireland. He will buy me the parts, so they will tax free. Oh, that's awesome. If that's you know how many people have to pay that VAT tax, I hear? That's just terrible. And I also gotta say that is a very convenient feature on this board. So if you install a GPU, you put it in, and you hit that button on the right, that will release the GPU instead of actually a lever. Because as you know, GPUs, you used to have to use that lever to try to get your finger in there to push it open. So in order for you to release the card, you can just hit that square button and it will release it. Also, if you look you see, it's going to be a little bit tough for me to describe, but you're going to see on this board, would there be enough space? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, there is enough space. You see the black bars up here, like by your CPU socket? You're going to remove those, and then more than likely you're going to end up putting the plate of the AIO of your choice. So sometimes I've seen on Reddit people saying that there's not enough. It just depends on the AIO you get. But this motherboard, I can say I can physically also see it. This motherboard, in fact, you know what? Why don't I just show you the motherboard? I have it right here. All right, hang on, guys. I'll go into my closet and pull this motherboard out. Let me see. I'll be right back. Excuse the empty space for a moment. Okay, so this is an AM5, but this is pretty much the same board. So it's going to look something like this. And this is just the pain part where I gotta pull it out, the plastic and stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. Master is more expensive if you choose to get the Master. But this is pretty much like kind of like the same concept of this board. This is what I really wanted to show you guys. It's kind of hard to show you on a picture, but You see right here, that's actually like a quick release right there. Let me just move the mobile side so the mobile side could see a little bit. I'm just going to move this over just a slight. But anyway, it's like this right here. And I'll tap that side of it so you'll focus on it. You'll see this quick release latch, and right here, you can just flip that open and you can pull it out. And when you pull that out, you can access, you can access all the NVMEs that way, instead of actually unscrewing each and every one. So there's actually 4 other NVMEs here. But on this board, it might be a little bit different. It might be just like, it might be 3 or 4. It depends. But I will probably go with the Tomahawk. I'm just looking for stability without overspending unless I have to. Hey, the Tomahawk's a great board. I do recommend MS. That's one of the better boards I would recommend. But if I were to list all MSI boards for like budget-wise, I would always put Tomahawk as #1 because, again, it's the value and it's a board that does everything you can ask for, especially for gaming. Is there any difference on the... Oh, yeah, of course. Now, just like you see up here, this is going to be your PCI Express 5. And there's going to be another one down here, but you don't want to touch that one. And the reason being is because if you touch the one down here, it's going to interfere with your PCI Express slot, which will turn your card into X8. And we don't want that. So instead, install the one up here. This is actually really easy to install too because, again, it has a quick release latch and it's much better performed on a table, like when I do it instead of trying to hold it in the air. But you can easily use the quick release latch, pull it off, and then install the NVMe that way. But you want to use that specific side of it. But yeah, you don't want to really touch the other NVMEs if you don't have to. Double check. I think if you use slot, I think it's slot 3. I think if you use, I know on ASUS it's 2 and 3. You don't want to touch those 2 because if you do on ASUS, then you end up cutting your power into half onto X8. But I know they have also an option there is it will only cut in half if you're using the drive. Also, the other one is, I think here on this specific board, I think it was also 4 and 5. You don't want to touch 2. So NVMe, yes, exactly. You got it. You got it, Peru. You got it. You want to put the NVMe first, and then you put the GPU next, because this is going to be, yeah, and you want to do it before you put the GPU in, obviously, because it's going to be a pain to even touch any NVMEs if you attempt to install the GPU first. I always tend to save that last because it's such a large piece. If I had to lose a card, I could show you exactly what I mean. But these cards now, especially in 2025, will take up half of your motherboard. So you want to install everything you need on the board before installing the GPU. And again, that's always the last piece I install when it comes to building a PC. So for the Tomahawk X670, X670E, 850, or the X870, what would I recommend? So if I were to recommend it to you, I would say the X670E if you were to pick, because of your budget wise. How do you determine which sides of the RAM should be facing? Is it just the slots? Now, usually you can tell by the slot. Usually, for example, you see how it has these like these metal coatings right here on the motherboard, like right there. That's the main ones you want to connect it to. So this is going to be I think, is it A2 and B2? It might be A2 and B2. So you want to install it in these two, because it's always going to be the one closer. Think of it like this: it's always the one closer to your ATX header, because when it's the closest, then it's installed correctly. So you can install it into the closest one there, skip a lane, and then put it into B2. So generally install the GPU. Yes, I will be getting the X870E Pro Gigabyte. That's a good choice. That is an excellent choice. Gigabyte has always been solid, and they're very well known when it comes to their motherboards, I gotta say, for the most part. And but yeah, hopefully that helped you out, JJ. And if anybody out there needs, if you need any further help on the steps of building a PC or have any more questions, again, feel free to join the Discord, and we all welcome you and are more willing to help you if you need any specific links, and that's something we can certainly find. So let me fix this screen, and I'll put this motherboard back in its box. I do eventually want to do a build, but I gotta wait on the budget to allocate. I'm not sure if I'm gonna throw this on a stealth build because I know this is going to be ARGB on this side. It might be a different board for it, but we'll see what we're gonna do. This will be on a build on a future budget, but I gotta say this, I gotta consider this board a legendary board because this is like one of those generations where Intel kind of entered and kind of closed off at the same time. Yes, 32 gigabytes is the minimum. I would, if you want to spend a little bit more, go to the 48. Just spend the extra. It's not going to be much, but just get 48, and that'll actually save you a lot of trouble. Because there's cases where there's certain applications or certain games where they end up taking up a little bit more memory. And a lot of these games will have memory leaks in the beginning until they fix it. So I'd say get 48 to be safe. And then in the future as well, they will have games where it's going to take up more RAM eventually. And it almost seems like 32 gigabytes is the limit when it comes to RAM at this point, like the minimum requirement. No, it's no problem at all. I'm glad that I could help, and I welcome everybody that comes into the PC space, and congratulations on doing this PC build. It's once you enter this whole space, it's going to be a whole nother world that you will certainly enjoy. It's something that can be very fulfilling for the most part. But yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. And hopefully you enjoyed seeing this board, but yeah, it's quite a beautiful board, I gotta say, right? But if you want to see it further, I do have a video based on it if you want to see all the details on it. But it is a awesome board. And I just feel bad for Intel kind of pulling the rug on everybody. Because just imagine, there's some people out there that are very hardcore Intel. And for those people to purchase and stay by Intel's side, for them to kind of pull the rug on them, saying like, hey, we're just going to do this for one generation. Just imagine how bad they feel. And these boards, unfortunately, will probably end up depreciating very quickly because of how quick that generation came and went. But yeah, it really is beautiful work, and I am looking forward to seeing what Intel will be bringing to the table. I know they're practically doing like a reboot. I felt that this was going to be a reboot. It practically was supposed to. Sorry about the noise, guys. I know it's probably crispy loud. There we go. Whew. But I am working on trying to get some stuff in. There's currently some trouble over at some of the brands where the supplier says that they're shipping products, but they're nowhere to be found. So it's been quite a pain. But I do appreciate everyone that has come in and asked questions, and feel free to ask as much as you need to. As again, I'm willing to help out everybody that is looking to upgrade, and don't be shy. The only wrong question is the ones that don't ask the questions and needs the answers, especially when you have the spotlight. But I gotta say, Gigabyte and MSI are definitely great choices if you choose to go that route. I know a lot of MSI builds I've done. I've done a full MSI build where I used the MSI Meg case. I did the MSI cooler, the AIO they actually have. And that was actually a fairly great deal. In fact, I only spent like, I think, a little bit over $100 on the MSI cooler. That was the AIO. The only difference is, again, it's not LCD. It's just the fans were ARGB, and the Dragon that they have was also ARGB, and it also had a MSI, I think RTX, what was it at the time? RTX 40, probably like a 4070, I think. Does it help to have the GPU and the motherboard of it? Not necessarily. I mean, in all honesty, when it comes to GPUs and when it comes to different brands, they're all going to be the same. The PCBs are not really going to be all that different. They might add some little adjustments, like they might add things like thermal control, or they might add something a little bit different specific to their ARGBs. But no matter what, it's still based on NVIDIA. That's the key. So even if it's from the same brand, sure, it's nice to match everything. That's like practically a dream build because you got everything that you need to match together. But if you can't manage to do that and you can't match everything, there's nothing wrong if you ended up getting an MSI board and you threw a Gigabyte GPU in there. It will still work perfectly fine. The main key is you want everything to work properly, and that's mainly it. Only the body is different, I believe. That's not a big deal. Honestly, when it comes to the case, most people will be using a brand outside of besides their brand. But you don't really see too many people with MSI cases or Gigabyte cases or ASUS cases as much. They have them out there, but most people will end up going to Height, or they'll go to Lee or Corsair, because that's a great thing about when it comes to the PC market. There's so much customizability. Maybe you like the look of a Gigabyte case, for example, and you want to put a MSI motherboard in it. You can do that. That's the wonderful thing about it. Everything is compatible with each other. The only thing that does not get along, I have to say for the most part, is just the ARGBs. They're always going to be a pain unless you use all-in-one software such as OpenRGB. Then it can work in harmony in that sense. But for the most part, there will be no issues when it comes to the system itself. So I changed the 1050 Ti to a 4070 Ti Super, and it's a huge change. But turns out the game I play is more CPU based. Oh, really? Oh, that sucks. That's pretty frustrating. It sounds a lot. It reminds me of like how like Crysis was. It probably uses a lot of ray tracing too, I assume, because that's what'll happen. Ray tracing will end up using some of the CPU as well. But I just always wanted to have a dream build, so I'm upgrading regardless what I will do on the PC. I gotta say, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see the photos of your build once you send it off. But yeah, certainly good luck with the build. I can't wait for everybody to do. There's so many builds going on. It seems everyone's enthusiastic about it, just like I am. And I really do look forward to seeing it. But whoever does do their PC build or their PC rig, they're going to really appreciate the hard work that they created something out of practically nothing. So, and especially that you're able to customize it exactly how you want it. You're not limited to console capabilities. That's the really nice thing about it. I look forward to it. I kind of stopped building after struggling with the burning 4090 issues. ATX 3.1 GPUs undervolting and ensuring the cable isn't bent and fully connected. I almost quit. Yeah, it's... Oh, really? Only DOTA 2. But I do agree with you, JJ. It can get pretty frustrating. Like I said, with the current series I have, the RTX 5090, I suspect that may have issues. And I kind of want to look at it some more because of the issues I think it might be running into. And but I will be examining it and taking a deeper dive. And if there is an issue, I'll definitely bring it up to you guys and to your attention. If you guys didn't hear earlier, I possibly have problems with the RTX 5090, which is a Gigabyte AORUS master. So I will be taking that out and seeing if there's some sort of any issues that is occurring that Gigabyte is known for currently. But again, I won't say anything about that claim just yet because I don't want to throw a brand under the bus unless I know for sure that there is a ongoing issue with it. But I will definitely bring that up. I will mention it this Saturday because I also stream on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern to about like 12:30ish. But I will definitely bring it up during that stream. But I appreciate everybody for coming in. I thank everybody for the live. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel or follow the channel depending on the platform you're on. I would really appreciate it. And please join the Discord. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone who's come out to use their time to watch this channel. And thanks again for watching.